I mean, he's more of an acquaintance than a friend, but I like the guy because I just like people, and Charlie's a likable guy. What's not to like? His turnaround on the truth movement is disturbing, in as much as he's kind of vilified the people that still believe there should be a new investigation. Well, he did on the show a little bit, but then he might have been, tired, and he didn't know he was being recorded. And I mean, you've got to look at all of this, put all of it in there, So it's just been kind of blown right out of proportion, I think, to be honest. I personally think that there needs to be a new investigation. I think it absolutely reeks of inside intervention, if not inside operation. And I think there absolutely needs to be a new investigation simply because of the situation that's been created around the world since it happened. What we see now is the whole world is virtually in a state where Nazi Germany in 1939, just before the war started, the TSA, everything that's going on, it's just ridiculous. The rights have been removed from the people left, right and centre due to 9/11. I look at the whole situation of how the influence of the American government in World War II, the influence of the Ford Motor Company, Prescott Bush, all the ties to European banking cartels and to England, the British royal family, all of these Western influences that happened in Nazi Germany when that all happened, and I see how the Nazis didn't actually lose the war. They were just like a special ops division. They just ran a beta test, and after they'd done that to Germany, they kind of moved them out around the world, and they put the whole system out around the planet, and we've been gradually moving towards what Nazi Germany was like, only they've taken 50 years to do it instead of 5. That's what
I'm saying. Absolutely.
And so
9/11 was the Reichstag fire of the 21st century.
Absolutely, I think it was. I think if Arabs did do it, then they were probably paid by the same people to do it. I think the whole Al-Qaeda movement was all set up by the West anyway, and it's all financed by the West and financed.
Al-Qaeda, Max. Yeah, hold that thought, Max.
Exactly.
I want to get into that in just a moment. And in regards to Chalie Veitch, well, folks, just be respectful. I think part of this is setting us up to have such a passionate response, and all these death threats and whatnot are not looking kindly upon us. If you're about truth, that's all that matters. We'll be right back with Max Igan. So I want to give Max the final word on the Chalie Veitch distraction. Man, we were talking about the Casey Anthony distraction, and now the Chalie Veitch distraction. Max, go ahead.
Well, like I was saying, I mean, everything that's happened since World War II, this is what 9/11, it's the pivotal event that caused all of this, regardless of who did it. And I think that Al-Qaeda and all these crew are all financed by the West anyway. I mean, the whole thing's, if you really want to get to it, you look at the banking cartels, and I think it all ties back to there. I think it ties back to the United Nations. The whole crew, the whole system's corrupt. But my rapport with Chalie was I always liked Chalie, and I still like Chalie. I don't think I'm actually capable of hating anybody. And whether Chalie just changed his mind, that's okay for him to do so. Whether he was planned from the beginning, that's who he is. That's okay. It doesn't. I don't hate him for that. That's just who he is. I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I don't know why people keep asking me what's going on with Chalie. I mean, all I can do is, okay, we can take it to this extreme and speculate that he was a plan from the beginning, or we can take it to this extreme and say, well, maybe he just changed his mind. And he's entitled to be either one of those things. And my rapport with him on a personal level has always been a good rapport, and I'm happy to keep that way with everybody. But I think what has happened is people have been shocked by his reference to the truth movement as a religion and people as delusional and stuff like this. People feel betrayed. There are many people out there that continue to investigate 9/11 because they sincerely believe that this was a staged event and that their loved ones died there and their brothers and sisters around the planet continue to die and be repressed due to this event. And they want answers and they feel betrayed. And I can understand the anger that people have. But by throwing hate mail at Chalie, by vilifying Chalie and saying all the things that people are saying, all they are doing is becoming what they hate. The way to go through this problem is compassion and unity. And I've always said that. And I get mad at people. I'll speak my mind. I did to the Prime Minister on the radio the other day. I called her right out. I called her a psychotic lunatic, a bitch, a barefaced liar. I challenged her to a public debate. And I stand by that, but I don't hate her for it. I get angry because of my brothers and sisters that are being tormented by the things that she's doing. But I don't hate her for that. I just want to call her out on it, and I want to speak to her publicly about it. And that's how I feel about everybody. I'll get my blood up, and I will speak my mind, absolutely, but I'll never do so from a center of hatred. So stop all the hatred, folks. It's a distraction. Just move on. Someone's changed their mind. It doesn't matter. If they set the whole thing up from the beginning, well, they did very well. You know, and just leave it. Just move on, because, you know, it all just solidifies things for me. It just strengthens the movement, and it strengthens my resolve. And we're all offered these things in life. We're all offered tests, so just move through it.
All right, fair enough. So, Max, you've been trying to take a break, but it's been pretty hard to, huh?
Well, yeah, Charlie's sort of that. Don't want to bring him up again, but yeah, no, it's kind of interesting. But I went and did a radio show this morning on the local radio station, and that was sort of up at 7:30 and in there really early on breakfast radio. But that was to do with fracking. There's a big fracking meeting going on here tonight, coal seam gas mining. Coal seam gas mining has been taking up a huge amount of my energy lately. I've been really wanting to work on a new film, but the amount of fracking that's going on and the amount of action that's being stimulated in the community because of it, I've really gotten involved in that, and I think that now that it's happening on the ground like this, I kind of owe it to the people to go and support it and to be there. So that's been taking up a great deal of my time. But I do plan on having some time off if you guys let me.
Yeah, right. We got to stop asking you to come on the show. But you're such a great guest. It's hard not to have you come back on. And tell the listeners who are not familiar with the fracking issue a little bit about it.
Well, coal seam gas mining, it's you know, if anybody's seen the film Gasland, I recommend that you go and watch Gasland. That tells you all about it. It's drilling for natural gas through coal seams, and what they do is they inject chemicals down there, they explode it down there, and that fractures all the coal seam, and it releases the gas. But by doing this, they're also destroying water tables. They're also running huge pipelines through properties, and they're destroying nature. They're destroying everything. They're destroying the aquifers. And in Australia here, this is a very low country. We don't have any high mountains here, so we don't have precipitation that creates rivers and streams like you do in places such as South America, or even in the Rocky Mountains, places like this. All of the water in Australia is spring-fed. This is a spring-fed nation. We have a thing called the Great Artesian Basin, and that is Australia's groundwater. It's the main aquifer, and it connects to all the other aquifers in the country. And by polluting aquifers in order to extract gas, they're polluting the groundwater in this country. Once they pollute the groundwater, then there can be no life in this country. What I see this as is it's Agenda 21. It's sustainability. If they destroy the groundwater in the country, then this forces everybody into concentrated population zones, into cities where they will be fed recycled water, which is essentially dead water. It contains no energy. It's all Agenda 21. It's United Nations. Most of Australia's farmland is being sold out to United States, China, the Netherlands, and the UK, I think. That's the four countries, and they're buying up Australia. And there's a law that's been put in place by the Australian Prime Minister that any land sale under something like 321 million, it doesn't have to be declared. They don't have to know. They don't have to be able to trace it. So you can come into Australia and spend anything under $321 million on land. You know, 320 million is fine, and they don't want to know who bought it. They don't want to know where it's going. So what's happening is China and the UK and Netherlands and the United States are buying up all of our land. But even with the United States buying it up, you've got to understand that that's really China buying it up these days, because China owns it.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why your Prime Minister speaks fluent Mandarin.
No, well, that was the previous Prime Minister. He got sacked.
Oh, okay. We're already on the next one already. Okay.
Yeah,
geez.
we've got his traitorous deputy Prime Minister is in office at the moment. She's just a barefaced liar. She was actually voted in under the pretext of never introducing carbon tax. I promised there will be no carbon tax in this country. So the country voted her in, and then she said, well, I promised that, but I'm going to have to rescind that promise. And now she's introducing carbon tax. So she's a barefaced liar. She should be charged with promissory estoppel and thrown in jail, basically. I've actually challenged her to a public debate, and I don't think she'll take me up on it, but it would be nice. I totally called her out on a Sydney breakfast radio the other day. I was quite irate, actually. She really gets my blood up. What's been going on here? The fracking, it's all over the country. You might have heard of something in Australia called intervention. I don't know whether you've heard about that. They intervened in the Aboriginal community in the Northern Territory. They claimed that there was child molestation going on, and they intervened and did all this stuff, which inhibited the rights of the original people of this country in the Northern Territory very, very much, and gave the government permission to go onto their land and do all these things. They did this because the Aboriginals refused to basically sign over the mining rights to their land to the government. So now the whole Northern Territory has been fracked. It's all opened it all up for mining in the Northern Territory, and now they're moving it out across the whole country. So it's an incredibly important issue in this country. And they've done it to the United States down through Pennsylvania, down through the Marcellus Shale. They've totally destroyed things down there, which is incidentally all along the Madrid fault line. People are concerned that there might be some seismic activity along the Madrid fault line. Well, the coal seam gas fracking isn't going to help that. And they're doing that over this whole country. This area that I live in has been earmarked for 40,000 gas wells. And this has just got to stop. It's complete madness. I'm putting forth that the government is actually operating in breach of trust by doing this to the Australian people, and that, and it's very difficult to get these people for what they do as well under their own system, because you try to charge them with a crime, but they haven't written the law that you can charge them with, because they're the ones who write the laws. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult to charge them under their own legal system. So what you need to do is approach these people and say, well, you need to show we, the citizens, and you could try this in America as well, folks, you need to approach your local members and your local politicians and say that we, the citizens, demand that you show us concrete proof that coal seam gas mining does not damage the water table. Because if you cannot show us that, then we want to know why you're fracking, why you're allowing this to happen, and you need to show cause why you should not be held in breach of trust and taken to The Hague and tried for environmental crimes under international law, because it is against international law to pollute groundwater. And that's, try that way of turning their legal system on.
Sure.
But they need to show cause. You can't say I'm going to charge you, I'm going to take you to court or anything. Mm-hmm. They need to show cause why they should not be held accountable.
Well, water is one of the most precious of resources, and they're destroying our water table between this fracking and the nuclear junk. Geez, are we killing this planet?
Oh, absolutely. That's all.
Hold that thought, Max. Hold that thought. We'll pick it up in just a moment. Quick break. Okay, final segment on tonight's Bob Tuskin show. It's July 4th, 2011. We're joined with Max Igan, ending the show on a solutions-oriented note. There's so much suffering going on in the world today. So many evil people pulling the strings. And what are you really fighting for? Well, you're fighting for the ability to live and love and spend time with your friends and family and eat good food that's not going to poison you. At the end of the day, that's what we need to fight for. That's the independence that I stand for. And I know the listeners of this show do as well.